And I'm recording. Well,
All right, Bob.
hello everyone. Hola a
Hello.
todos. Ciao tutti. Hello from Chile, Santiago, Chile. This is a nice encounter here on my YouTube channel with this man here that is quite legendary and that some of you perfectly know and have heard. So welcome, Mr. Franco Falsini, to my interview series. I'm very proud and very happy, and thank you for the time and interest in having this conversation. How are you?
Well, I'm okay. Thank you, bro. You're a good guy.
Ah, so they say.
So
So
they
they
say.
say.
They're gonna
Yeah.
keep saying this for a long time.
Uh,
Trust me.
hopefully, hopefully. Well, I have to go to my interview that I have on.
Please do.
Yeah, I have some notes, but since I'm recording, I have to do a trick here. So if you give me some time, how is the
I
weather?
will give you all the time you need.
How's the weather, Franco? I have like.
The weather is getting better. It's
Okay.
spring. It's not as hot as as you have out there probably, but it's getting better. And pretty soon it will be spring. So the weather is gonna be good. It's the rest of it. It's gonna be sad.
Okay. Yeah.
You
So
know what I'm talking about.
I know. It's 8 and 4 o'clock here in Santiago, Chile. What's the time there?
12 o'clock,
12
12 or
o'clock.
4. Yeah, 12 or
Okay.
4, yeah.
Yeah. Do you usually stay up late, Franco?
Yeah, all the time. I'm a night owl person, I'm staying,
Okay.
it's insomnia,
Okay.
mainly because it's the insomnia that is taking over.
All right.
But lately I've been doing a little better.
Okay. Well, my idea, Franco, was to have this conversation about your music, your career. I have to say that I didn't discover your records and even Sensation Fix. I think I discovered very late. But in spite of all that, I made an effort, and I think I did it. I made it. I mean, to be able to play your music on radio here back in the 90s, essentially when I was working for Radio Futuro FM in Santiago, Chile, which was from July 1989. It became an avant-garde rock station with some Tangerine Dream, classical progressive rock, and some alternative pop, which was a strange mixture. But there was Franco Falsini and his sensational Sensations Fix. So to make it more clear to all those who are watching, I'm going to ask you, Franco, if you don't mind, a few questions. So my first question,
That's
Franco,
okay.
my first question is if in Italy during the 70s was a good place to make records, to sell the records, uh, because I know that Banco, Leorme, and PFM are considered the greatest or most relevant bands in the sense that they could be promoted and tour outside Italy. What was the situation back then in the 70s for you?
Yeah, the period was right. I mean, the whole thing was an expansion, you know. In fact, the whole industry grew really, real big. Of course, that gave the interest of the other big producer living in the States and England. Yeah, even though on the beginning, the real beginning on the 70s was a little milder, but then it grew bigger. In fact, the people at Poida were saying, we're starting to sell in your records, in the States, because people were coming and asking.
But were all the companies open to publish, or were there some particular record companies or labels that would be more interested in this special music or rock that was not on radios?
On the beginning, for example, in the States, the first one were the people from Rock Tower Rock. They were specialized in import. It wasn't a big label. There were people specialized just in import, so they were getting into and knowing that in Italy this comes out, it can be okay. In Germany, that other things come out. So those were the people, mainly the beginning. Let's say.
And how would you describe the music that you were making in the 70s? My impression and that of many others that like and follow your career describe it in the regions of space rock, prog rock, not essentially prog rock. I would say space rock,
Yeah, space.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess it was space rock, but or at least for me in that period, the idea of rock, uh, it was aimed to include some electronic experiment that were going on in that period, and I was also fascinated for concrete music and other type of avant-garde music. So I tried to implement that, in what we were doing. So basically, so that's why perhaps it fits more space rock. But like I said to you other times,
Yes.
uh, I always thought that all this was pop. You know, all this basically it was really pop. Perhaps some American band were more like rock, but like the Beatles, the Stones, it was like pop music. That had strong roots into pop. Then eventually, pop music gets involved into other roots because at the moment, those things are popular, and that's what pop is all about. This is, my main opinion. But I mean, for your question, I would say, if I have to answer like I did, it would be we were a space rock, but and also experimental because I was checking all those concrete music and avant-garde music because I liked it, because it was to me it was like you could create an emotion even with a noise, It wasn't just because emotion is the whole thing about for me what really really drives me in the music, because this thing is actually creating emotion. It's not just being a good guitar player or whatever, emotion that you convey to people, it can open people's mind.
And
You
what
know,
can you mention, Franco? Can you mention some composers from the concrete music area that you were particularly interested?
Steve
Or
Reich, I
okay,
remember seeing this band, Steve Reich,
yeah,
Stockhausen.
okay,
Stockhausen was really blowing my mind, the thing that he was doing. Uh, Cage too was
okay,
doing stuff back then, and also other people from. But then that it came later on. The guy that he was doing, that he was actually a student, and I then studied at the. A lot of things are hard. But I remember this thing, the Steve Rice,
okay,
they was saying. I keep opening my blouse. It was a phrase, basically. It was a phrase that he was saying that kept on and kept on and kept on.
okay.
Also, there was also, no, because, yeah, sometimes the head turns off and it turns on.
Yeah,
It's not
that's
that, it's not that. So anyway, for example, there was, it was very hard to remember the name, but there was a bunch of girls doing program for BBC about science fiction music, and they were using really strange things to do it, and releasing it, and I used to love it, and even when I listen to it now, I say, wow, and it's just great. A girl now, sometimes I really names go away from my
yeah,
mind. I don't know why, but,
okay,
but there was this girl that it was one of my heroes that he was actually doing this, and it was amazing because I was thinking, well, what the hell is going on into this girl's head that at that age is into that, that is actually turning her on. Let's
yeah.
say.
And
Yeah.
but did you have any influences in your family? Why did you go? Why did you go that direction? Like
No, no,
concrete?
none of my
No.
family. No, perhaps yes, yes. One of my uncle was into music, and he
Mm.
was also he was playing mandolin. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Actually, then he got inspired for what I was doing. He told me, yeah,
He was
because I
fired.
had a trio. Yeah, I had a trio. Yeah, inspired because it says, I wanted to put up a trio too. To be you would go play weddings and stuff like this or in restaurant, and he was good at that. But he was also good at of putting together like if you bring him a watch disassemble, and he'll put it together perfectly. So it was
Ah, okay.
really very well at
Mm.
that craft too,
Okay.
being precision craft. And he
Okay.
was a great mandolin player because I heard him playing and he was playing good. Yeah. And he was playing mandolin,
Did you ever? Did you ever? Did you? Could you
No,
ever?
I never did that.
No, you
I
you
never
never learned.
did that. In
Okay.
fact, in fact, in the States, when I first arrived, people I used to get upset because they would say a couple of things. One was, the mandolin. They were talking about about the mandolin, because they were saying as a bad things, and also being a spaghetti
Mm,
synthesizer. I remember that I really got into a fight for that at
mm.
one point in a
Well,
studio.
they like
Well,
to bother. They wanted to bother
yeah,
you. Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, they wanted to bother me, but I guess when I think of it now, I should be on that too. If somebody wants to say to me that I'm a spaghetti synthesizer, I can make a laugh too. It's not a big problem, I don't have to get so much offended, But I was uptight when I was
No.
young, I was
And
more uptight.
the important thing, Franco, is that the music transcended time, and we're still talking about it. So it means that the spaghetti or not spaghetti doesn't mean anything really. It's not
There is
important.
something else there, something that we're trying. Yeah, it means that there is something else there, something that we all trying to understand. Not just because you're Italian or you're American, from Russia, whatever.
Hmm.
There is something there that is really some sort of magical things that we all try to grasp, that we
Right.
all try to understand,
Yeah.
and that's the best thing about it, So,
Hmm.
and that's why we are still alive too.
Well, I got to say now, Franco, that one of the reasons that I got interested in following your career was the extraordinary for me Cold Nose album. And I wanted to ask you if this man, Filippo Milani, who was the producer of the album, I understand that he also made a short movie called like that, Cold Nose. How did you become involved in this project? And
Okay,
is the film real or not?
okay. Allora, with Filippo, first of all, we were friends. He produced not just Cold Nose, but he produced the other records
Okay.
of Sensation Fix. We were friends, He was it was like we were friends. We became friends. He was a real great photographer, and he was very much into movies too. And his desire was really to put his pictures into motion. So he wasn't really trying to make a movie. He was just trying to give motion to his photos, to his pictures.
Okay.
Uh, and so I helped them. At one point, something came up that he could do this movie because somebody was actually fronting the money, and I was helping him. I helped him doing producing music. Uh, there was also a challenge for me because it was something different that what we were doing with Sensation Fix. We were doing something with Sensation Fix. So and I always try to do other things because sometimes you get ingrained in the same thing, and I don't know, it's not that good. At least for me. But the film really had been shooting. The film was destroyed by the owner because in a moment of rage. But that's what Filippo told me. Now you have to understand. You have to understand that all the people involved were actually doing coke.
Oh.
Yeah, because this was a film about a person doing coke, and in the end will self-destruct himself because of this, because of his paranoia and all these crazy things that was happening to his brain. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so the people were all doing coke. I was doing coke too, but when I was going to write the music, it was mainly when the effect of coke would not be there.
Okay.
So it was the worst thing, So I had the worst of the deal. Basically, when coke is not there, you're down, and so you get different effect.
I get
It's a
yeah.
totally different effect. Totally different effect. So basically, the music became sort of an antidote to this. For me to regain
Balance.
conscience for myself. Yeah.
Okay.
So but when you look at it, coke does really that. It can give you the illusions that everything you're making everything, and that will become real. But it's not that way. This is in the end, especially the things that they're not really right, they don't exist anymore. It's like you'll be doing things, and in the end, you'll be like you haven't done anything. Things have dissolved into nothing. So I was really lucky that instead the movie actually remain, perhaps because then after that, my experience didn't, my experience with Coke didn't last very much, also because I arrived to the point to understand what was actually good for my body and my mind. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not something that I would advise to people to do just to try or something like this. But but they don't need my advice. Drugs are pretty popular these days, so, so that they need somebody to say, "Hey, take care, be careful." It's not that easy. You understand what I'm saying? It's not so much because it's illegal, because it's not that easy to control substance. And in millions of people, perhaps one can do it, but that doesn't mean anything. A lot of people just lose their mind, their family. They go through crazy time. We all know that.
Some never return. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some never
It's
get back.
important to understand that. Sometimes you can do something that is just an illusion, and that will dissolve. And sometimes you create things, and that will remain. So that's why it's important when you say we're still talking about the music you've done 50 years ago, because it remained. And because of that and remained, I think, without being presumptuous, because there was something behind that it was real. Do you understand what I'm saying? There was something behind that it was real, that it was more important. Now we'll get on this as the interview.
But I never asked you, Franco, how was the record review? Did you get good opinions by the time back in when?
Yeah, we got a good opinion. Not only that, we also did another things, because there was a lot of people. There was a lot of people revolting against music. They were saying the music is not, records cost too much. People are making too much money. So we actually did say to the record company, give us less money, but let's make this record available so that it doesn't cost as much, and that was appreciated, actually. So the review was good. Actually, a lot of people talked to me more about Cold Nose than other stuff that I did with Sensation Fix. The Cold Nose really sticks out. The Sensation Fix, they like it. Some people don't. So some people like some album because they're completely different than others, because we sort of changed a lot too in the production. So that's what it is. So the Cold Nose was a special one, seriously.
What about? I wonder what were you listening to back in those days, because I think there's some resonance, so to speak, some airs from let's say Richard Piñas from Heldon, or Manuel Getsching, whom I admire a lot. Some people mention Mike Oldfield. I don't think there's any.
Mike Oldfield is the closest thing, but yeah, let me explain this. All those guys that you mentioned, I really like their works, and some of it, like Getsching, are friends too. But this is not so much an inspiration. This is more like people being in the same wavelength that I am. You understand what I'm saying? The inspiration, I got the inspiration. We'll go through that, but that happened to me when I was 18, 19. In that moment, it was more like some people that I know and I like his work are actually on the same wavelength. Now that is even more important for me than an inspiration. It's like, because it meant that we were exploring the same mind world. You understand? We were in the same wavelength, and that was important, because how can we be doing the same thing? We don't even know each other, and it's not like you think I copy him, he copy me, or something like this. It's a different thing. So that is important. It's something like magic. It's the beginning of telepathy. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
yeah. The inspiration is a different thing. I got the inspiration when I was really young, So people were like, Jimi Hendrix was an inspiration, because it was something that I looked at it. It was in a place where I was not. And in that case, but it was a place that I liked. So in that case, it became my inspiration, in the sense that everything that I would do, it was trying to get there. And trying to get there was also to understand that it takes hard time, it takes dedication, it takes, it's not like, it's hard work, So So the inspiration were like the early Pink Floyds, for example. Those guys were the inspiration. Hendrix, Scream, even all the English wave, which was the first thing that really happened, that I happened to know when I was 18 or 19, because in Italy a lot of English bands were coming with their Bedford. When I saw Pink Floyd, they came with their Bedford in Rome. They had already their light system. They became famous, and what you might say, the guy Barrett was there. He was kind of weirded out, but he was there. You understand? And I remember they didn't really play so well in the sense that they were not so precise, but I really liked them, what they were playing. Friends of mine were saying, well, they're not so precise. And I said, guys, you don't understand. Those guys are into something else. They're into an idea that is great, that is going to develop into something great. So so those were for me. When you said to me the inspiration is there. When I grew up, it was no longer inspiration. It was just finding people that were like on the same wavelength, that they were actually doing what you were doing, because also it meant that you weren't crazy, because somebody else in Australia might be doing the same things and you don't know him. So it means that something is out there that we got to research, To me, at least that was fascinating to me, It was like something that had this great appeal. That's basically what it is,
And Franco, I understand then that you were so lucky that you could see Sid Barrett.
Sid Barrett, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Sid Barrett. Yeah.
Well,
Sid Barrett. But it was fine. Sid Barrett, it's amazing. Sid Barrett, I tell you my impression.
Yeah.
Sid Barrett is like, you could tell that he was trying to do something, that he wasn't precise into doing something because it was off, I don't know, whatever, but you understood. But that little things, that little something that imperfect that he was playing, I would understand what it would be played right. You understand? I had that idea. So I say, oh, look what he's trying to do. Man. And I was excited about that. It's like somebody's trying to do something real big, but it doesn't succeed, to try to jump a wall that is like 8 feet tall or 9 feet, but I'm failing just for a little bit. You understand what I'm saying? But I say, oh, look at that guy, man. Well, look, he's trying to do this and almost made it. Understand? So for me, that was more important there than somehow when I saw other people that they were just more precise and or perfect, but but they didn't give me any emotions, because basically we do this because we need to get emotions out of things. You understand? Because otherwise the whole thing doesn't make sense, and nothing is worth it, there.
And when was that? When was that? In what year? 19 something?
Well, I was 18, 19. So let's say, no, I was born in 48, 68. I was born in 48, 58 was the beginning of the 60s, I guess.
So you were very young. You were really young.
Yeah, I was pretty young. Yeah, I was like 18. I started to play guitar when I was 16.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? And I started to play because I like this English band that I've heard that was called Shadows,
Sure.
The Shadows, and they were just playing and it was good to play guitar and then how to play riffs and chords. It was really, because, I like those bands and the things that I like, because they give me a chance by following what they were doing to learn things. And then, of course, you can stop and just copy the others, but you can learn and try to develop your own thing, from what you've learned, your own idea. Try to see if this learning has produced some other learning, some feedback on your learning, let's say.
Mm-hmm. Now, okay, I just sent you, just in case, maybe you don't have to read it. I'm talking about interactive test, solid DAC, and antennas. I remember that's from your...
Yeah, I read it, and I have see. I do have some note myself to make it easy, even though then I'm getting off my.
Okay.
Allora, Solid DAC was the first band. Was the first band when I first arrived in Virginia. We were living all together in this house, and the idea of the name, at least, and the whole thing, anyway, was Keith Edwards. Yeah. That the guy that later on will be playing drums on Sensation Fix.
Yeah.
Allora, while Interactive Test was a label that I start with the help with my brother and this girl Elisabetta, that is now the person that still lives with me, you know, as a companion, let's say. But basically, the interactive, I was the only legal owner. I was the legal owner. In fact, you know, there was a big problem when the label ended up in bankruptcy. So, you know, I had to, it was a lot of financial stress for me that I was the only legal owner. So, you know, the people could not help me on that, unfortunately. While Antennas was in between the end of Polydor and Interactive Test, which did have this experience that was really big with the Black community in which where I was working in New York. But that we can go in, we get into that in a different moment. In which the Antennas was between those two moments. And the whole band and we were signed by Polydor France. In that case, the whole band, there was my brother, Elisabetta, and another guy called Ciro Maestro, very good musicians from Florence. We did sign a contract as Antennas with Polydor France. While, for example, the previous contract with Polydor had been signed only by me and Filippo, because the band came after that. Me and Filippo had already got, you know, already a contract. And it was a particular stranger contract. I was a musician, he was the producer. Then we get the band in because we thought that having the band at a particular moment would have helped to do the live show. Everything was happening, because the whole thing actually started with me playing a single. You know, when I first got out in Italy, I wasn't playing with Sensation Fix. You know, when I first got the contract with Polydor, it was just, I was a solo artist basically for them. You understand?
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So that's what it is. Just one second.
Sure.
Because in between the Polydor and the interactive test, there was this period in which I put up like a record rehearsal with this Italian guy called Silvio Tancredi in New York, and I was using the 8-track mixer that I had that I was recording with the Fix. I used, you know, other stuff that I had, all my equipment. But that was a work. The guy told me, Franco, I know you are a good guy and I know what kind of music you're into, but let me be straight with you. You know, if you are willing to work with the Black community and the work that they are doing, we have work starting from tomorrow so that you can stay in New York and live in New York. So I accept. But when I started to work in the Black community, it was something that I really liked. A lot of good musicians, you know, amazing. And they like the sound, but mainly they like the way that I was splicing the tape. At one point, some of those guys needed the tape to be spliced exactly so that they could get remixes even back then, you know, because those guys were the beginning of even on dance music, the Black, you know, the Black are like and the roots of you know that.
Sure.
So and it was really good. So that caught the attention of a big producer, you know. We had like the producer of the guy of Africa Bambata that was doing there. You know, I had like people that were working with Prince's crew. Prince, you know, Prince on his beginning. They were coming there, you understand what I'm saying? You know, there were these people, Funkadelic, come from the group Funkadelic. Yeah, the guy, the Bootsy Collins, he's an amazing guy. Yeah, they were coming there rehearsing this band called Punk Funk, you know. Okay. So most amazing, you know, because those guys didn't like the guitar was like, for them was like, whoa, the devils, you know, especially distorted guitar, something like that. And I was always joking and say, hey, guy, if you don't shut up, you know, I'm going to put the guitar on your tracks, you know, or something like this. No, but you have to understand it, because in there, I understood another important things. The Black were doing music with the Black and the white for the white. Even the radio station were into apartheid. They were like white radio station, they were playing white music, and black radio station, they was playing black music. Okay, and that was it, man. If you think of it, it's like, wow, man, America should be so advanced. Yeah, but no, man, they weren't, in fact, the whole thing broke open when, and that is why I was joking with these guys about putting the heavy metal guitar. Because at one point, Jackson, with Beat It, comes out with a riff where there is Van Halen on the guitar playing, you understand? And not only becomes a big hit, but all of a sudden that record goes into the white station too. So it's like, but for them, it was a big break point. So at one point, the station were mixing actually what they were doing. It wasn't just white music and black music, because if you think of it, this is crazy. But, that's what it was, So that not only that, but at one point, I was always working, with these guys in trying to find new bass line with this Oberheim synthesizer that we had, that had a great sound to do bass too. So one day I was doing bass, a bass line, and this Italian producer came in the studio and he said, "Oh, that's great, guys. If you want, tomorrow we're gonna start and make a record out of that." And we did actually, and that record was really big. And I made pretty good money on that too. It was with this girl, Tara Butler, that she was a great singer, but it's signed to my name, and the name of the project was called Electra. Even now they're listening to people. Some people come up to me and say, "Hey man, you should tell us that you're the guy who did Electra, because you're more popular than Sensation Fix, for example, in a certain thing. You should listen to this, and you should listen to that." So anyway, and this I remember it was really crazy. The girl was, the girl was so in love of the track that she wanted to marry me. I was already married. Luckily, I was already married. I was trying to explain to her, look, this is not possible, man. You know why? Because I'm already married. I have kids, I'm happily married, but I appreciate your devotion. But, this is the way it goes. So that was it. Between the two, that was an important factor, because that is what it would lead me to interactive test. It was linked me to what we did later on interactive test, and also all the other raving that came in the year 2000. So that's why I wanted to make this. Is a long answer, but perhaps it was needed.
Excellent, because
okay, so let's go on. So what were you saying?
Very nice things. I was asking you about the. You told me once that you would listen to records that your sister would send you from England, like the Scott Brothers, and I really like Scott Walker.
That song was "The Sun Ain't Gonna Shine Anymore." I still remember.
Amazing song.
Yeah, "The sun ain't gonna shine anymore." It was beautiful, but it wasn't just that. My sister knew that I was into music, so she was sending me records, mostly 45. And obviously back then it was that. Then it was the Zombies, of course, the Stones, the Beatles, all those stuff. So, but even that. See, even in that moment when she was saying to me, the thing that I was more engaged, it was the fact that I was getting emotion. This plastic frisbee were giving my emotion. I wasn't getting like something, those are good player, good musician. I wouldn't rate things. You understand what I'm saying? In that way. Mm-hmm. It would be like I would hear like the Scott brother, "The Sun Ain't Gonna Shine Anymore," and I would listen to it for hours, because I would get into it, I would get into the emotion. I would get into what he was saying, it was like becoming real. You understand what I'm saying? That's so that was another thing that made me love music, let's say, because, this thing, I understand like somebody in this way is giving me emotion. And perhaps if I learn, I can give emotion to others. That means that I can express myself and do things, sometimes I think, I have an idea and I say, it would be nice to make a movie out of it. Yeah, but in my case, to make a movie out of an idea, it would be hard, but the same idea, if I have to put it in a song, I might be able to do it. I have the knowledge and the know-how, so that's basically it's the same thing, because, we see movie, we write we read things, in books, and those things are important to us because we learn things. But we do learn by listening to a song. Somehow we learn. Somehow that creates something that fixes an emotion, and it's like we remember things in time because of that. We go back in time and we think of a moment, and there's always a track that is playing in that moment. There's always a soundtrack. And it's that moment, that soundtrack, that it was also part of the creation of that moment. So,
yeah. Did you ever were you ever aware of the 90s career of Scott Walker? Because he disappeared, he lived some very
no,
dramatic
no, no,
circumstances.
I lost it. Not of some people, no, because they actually, because they were big, but they weren't that big. So, I lost it. Of course, people like the Beatles or the Stones, they were really big. You would hear things even if you wouldn't follow them anymore or something like this, but somehow you would hear. But Scott, no. What were you doing? Was he was doing something else?
Well, I think he tried to take his life. He went through very difficult times. And back in 94, 93, a producer took him to the studio and he made this fantastic album called Tilt. And then he made an even darker record, because Tilt is very dark, called The Drift. So if you have the chance, and there's a very nice documentary.
I will listen to it. I will listen to it.
Yeah,
definitely.
There's a documentary Franco called which is called The 30th Century Man, about his compositions, the way he wrote music, about the popularity that affected the Walker brothers, that almost made their life impossible. And unluckily, Scott Walker left us like 3-4 years ago. But I always admire him for his amazing voice and his amazing way of composing.
Yeah, his voice was phenomenal. Yeah, I agree. Phenomenal voice.
Yeah. Then there's another question, Franco, about your band. How did Sensation Fix come to exist, and why did it end? What was the inspiration for the name of Sensations Fix? It's a special name, isn't it?
No, yeah, but I'll tell you the inspiration. The inspiration is always everything. I don't know. The inspiration came one day. Me and Filippo were like in his studio room, and one of our friends came to visit us. Now, this friend was into shooting or fixing heroin. Actually, he was into opium. He was fixing opium. And so he asked us if we wanted some, but that, it was something that we didn't like. We didn't want to experiment.
Okay.
Neither me or Filippo. So we told him, rudely, we told him that, look, we are not fixing heroin or opium. We're just, we like to fix emotion. We like, we like to be able to fix emotion. So it was the opposite. It's like, you don't need to do this, do a fix of your emotion, but you don't need to put it into your vein, the emotion. That's not what you need to the emotion. They come through you, and that's it. And that's, of course, when you do this with emotion, sometimes, a lot of times the emotions are even stronger, but sometimes are perhaps not as strong as the fact that if you shoot heroin or opium into your vein, that is probably a big effect, but it's useless. You don't have to have a huge effect. Understand what I'm saying? But sometimes too much is too much, even for your body, so you're going to die. That's what, and unfortunately, a lot of people have been dying for that. Also because of that, in that particular time in Italy, heroin was really becoming big. In fact, there is still people, even still now, people think that it was the government that started to do this because the youth, the youngster, they were hard to control. There were all these new ideas, all these new creativity things, different, there was a turmoil. So, by doing this, all of a sudden they were all just junkie, not doing anything anymore. And, some people even now say that, but this is just a voice that goes on around. I can't say that it's like, but in our case, we didn't like it. We prefer to live off emotions. You understand what I'm saying? Emotions, because they exist and because they are energy. That's what it is.
Yeah, natural. You don't have to force them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and don't cost anything either. That's
Uh-huh.
another thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
because sometimes I have friends that say, if I would have all the money that I spend on drugs, I probably could have bought the Pink Floyd PA. You understand what I'm saying? With all the money I spend, even more than that, the Grateful Dead PA. Do you remember the Grateful
That's a
Dead?
lot to say. That's a lot to
The
say.
huge, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't have that. Yeah, because I did a lot of drugs. Yeah, but that's not good, man. Amazing.
So what about the band?
That-
Why did it, is Sensations Fix still going? Is it from the past? How did it become to exist? Sensations Fix. How did you
No,
begin the band?
Sensation Fix was the band, was also when I was by myself. Was the
Okay.
name of the first album. It was the name of what the project would sound. But see, even there, we had like a problem for the company. For the company, they wanted that this was more related to the drug, but in a wild way. Because you have to understand, Christian, that if you're taking drugs and you go wild, let's say, you're going to make the headlines. People are going to talk about you. If you just get close to the drug because you want to study them, for example, you want to see what they do, you want to study, you want to see how you can survive, you want to see, you're not going to make the headlines like this. Not only that, but in that world, they might look at you in a strange way and says, oh, why this guy, I have people that I know, then they say, oh, for me, drugs there's gotta be that thing so that we can go crazy. I says, no, man, well, there's gotta be something that at one point, if you want to go crazy, you go crazy. Yeah, but that's not a good thing. I mean, it's a useless point to me. You understand what I'm saying? Instead, to me, it's a good point. The things, whether they are legal or not legal, we need to know. We need to know what they do. We need to know what we can't just say, people, somehow they have to do their own experience. Sometimes the people need to make a mistakes, It's good if this mistake is not big enough, but sometimes perhaps it's even better like that. You make your mistake, you understand. So you're clear it's clear in your head what you need to do. So, my approach was always like this. For the company now, because of course, for Polydor, no, let's have a band that destroy himself. Yeah, let's have the Franco Falsini that becomes like Sid Barrett. No, man, that's man, that's the wrong idea. That is why I really admire Gilmour, because I think that he showed the Floyds that you can make good music, psychedelic music that gets into your head without ruining yourself. I mean, it's not necessary. It's like, at one point, it's like a musician asks himself, do I have to go through this and die, so that I can become a good artist? No, you don't have to, man. You don't have to. You can be a good artist and leave a good notice to yourself, even if you haven't sacrificed your body.
Yeah, your health.
Yeah, the same thing. For example, another guy that I really admire so much is like Jack Bruce from Cream. Was explained, and he died, unfortunately. It was explained that if it wouldn't have been for the drug he took, that was heroin, he would have probably lived more. Because when he realized that he had cancer, and he was explained, but we were seeing all these black guys that were our idols, taking drugs. And so we thought that was them. So wrongly so, because he admitted that he was wrong, So we were following those guys. We were following those guys and their bad habits because we thought that way we could become better, But no, you were better and you were good because God is giving you this talent,
exactly,
man.
yeah,
God
exactly,
is giving you this talent.
Yeah.
That you are musicians. You don't have to do this to yourself to get there. If you do this to yourself, it's because you have mental problem. Unfortunately, we are all defects. Humans are not perfect, so we all have defects, and some of us have defects that are paying with their own life too. You know, maybe people can't take. People can't take, you know, the situation. Look at the guy in Nirvana. If somebody would have told him, look, you know, you're becoming like this, but unfortunately, because of this, you're going to die. You're going to die because you're going to kill yourself. Probably the guy says, hey, perhaps I want to be just a normal guy.
Yeah, nobody did that, unluckily, huh? Nobody did that. So you think Sensations Fix is could still be alive? Is it still alive in your mind?
Session Fix, I think it will never finish. In fact, you know, because I have so much work. I was listening to some of the work that is there, and basically one I wanted to send it to you because I wanted to know it's unreleased stuff, but it's a Sensation Fix, and you know, so I wanted you to know so that you can tell me your opinion because I really I'm really into that. So it will come out. I guess, you know, to end up to close the circle, basically to close the circle, you got to end up with Sensation Fix. And if you say to me, are you going to keep up? Yeah, I'm still on. You know, I'm still working. You know, the only thing actually sometimes when I don't have much energy, the only things that I can do is actually work on a mix or play that I still have the energy. And by doing this, I'm getting more energy. So I'm increasing my energy power. So it's the only things that not only is the only thing that I can do, but it's the only thing that actually is keeping me alive. I mean, as an energy field, you understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I'm like a vegetable that is playing. You know, people used to make fun of me. You know, they used to say, man, it was like, you know, an orange that knows how to play, you know, because that's the only thing I do. That's the only thing I would spend, you know, I would spend hours. Fortunately, when you do this, you need to make some money so that you can actually spend time by doing this, you know, at least to survive so that you make some money so that you can do and stay there. And it's not just practicing. It's getting an experience. It's not like I'm sitting on the guitar and I'm practicing the guitar. You know, I'm trying to get an experience if I play through an echo or through a distortion. That is telling me something. It's like an experience that I have. The things I've learned, I haven't learned on books. You know, I've learned it through an experience that I had because by having that experience, you somehow you learn something. You know, it's that simple to me. So, you know, that is what I do. It's like eating for me, playing and luckily now with the equipment, with the computer and stuff like this, you can record everything. You know, even now, can you imagine when I started, I thought that we would have anyway the technology because I had this vision of technology that in the end was it was right. Let's say, in fact. Before the 90s and after the antennas, I had like 4 years, perhaps 5 years, in which I didn't play. I needed a moment to take a break, okay? But that it was also because all of a sudden I was this equipment was coming out. It was the computers, the first personal. It was like the Commodore, Macintosh. And that I fell in love. And I said, no, man, this thing is too much. This thing is going to change the world. So, you know, so I started to program. And I remember seeing the machine code. It was like music for me.
Yeah.
And so, you know, not only that, I've learned how to do all that. And I started to open up domain, you know, and wait a second. First thing, it was the computer that I've learned, and I made money because I was able to hack, program, change values into the programs or something like this. Then this guy came and said to me about this thing, internet. Franco, you gotta see this, man. It's internet. It's, you know, you navigate, and there was something that I was thinking too. So it was a surprise, but it was like wow, finally has arrived here. With the internet. It was the remote learning, the things that I needed to learn in order to get better on the internet were actually in the internet. So I started to program the web, and eventually, I had domain. I had like one domain that was giving email that was called mailsync.org. But not only that, I put together this domain, and I was a webmaster. So I've been a webmaster too at one point in the life, and I'm really proud of that. You understand? So and this the domain was called eccentrica.com, and basically it was me that was given the possibility to do a page by compiling this form. You understand that I had done the program for that, so people would do their own page, and the wild pages, man, but million. There was only 2 or 3 companies that were doing that in the whole internet, and we were doing it for free, no ads, nothing, because it didn't cost me very much. We had everything. Like at one point, I had this teenager girls group. There was since they were less than 18, they wanted to. They were running petition to smoke for free, to lower the age of smoking. Then I had people that were putting nudity, not porn, but nudity, big page, like, the people, not nudity of kids or no shit like this, but, just, nudist. And then I had like, I had people like, they were like sort of like a Ku Klux Klan, but those pages went down.
Oh.
I managed to talk to them. Then at one point I had like this guy that was making fun of the Muslim. And that was a pretty big thing, man. All of a sudden I was receiving things, threats, But that I did because it was too funny. What he was saying with the Muslim, it was so funny that I said, hey guy, the best that I can do for you is that you put a page and you make fun of him and his religion. You're fun against fun, and that was it. So that didn't get taken down. But, and then that's another amazing thing. All of a sudden I had like a bunch of kids from China that was using the whole things to talk with each other. It was like in the classroom. It was like a classroom, their classroom, but they were really young. Yeah. So that was an incredible in things, and I've learned how to program. I still know how to do this. I haven't done it in a long time, but it worked. I was programming robots and stuff like this for companies. So, and it was really good money. You'll be surprised. Some of the paycheck were pretty good on that. So,
When was that, Franco? When was that?
That was the end of the 80s and the beginning of the 90s.
Okay.
And then after that is why interactive test happened, because, I figure, well, what I could do is do music by using technology, even this time, So it's time to get back into music and technology the way it always has been. And then the music started again, and didn't stop since then.
Okay.
Next.
No, the next one is about the 8-track mixer that you were altering, modifying. You got
No. This is the story. On the beginning with Sally Dark, and another guy in the band was a technician, real good technician, Jamie Wilson, and he was working at the music center, a music store, so fixing amp, So I was reading about this 4-track tech. Okay, it was tech. It was called. I was reading about this 4-track that was recording, but all of a sudden, but it wasn't recording. It was all the tracks were recorded at the same time. I needed something that I could listen to the guitar and play the bass on top. Multi-track recording over that. So I talked with these guys, and he said, Franco, we can do it. We can modify this. So we did modify it, and but we did the modification to other kids in the area, and so we made money out of that. But for that, Tag never gave us anything, never gave us nothing. But I don't even know if he called them up or something like this. So instead, when I was in Italy, the 8-track was coming out from Tasca and the mixer. So I went in Milan to their headquarters, and I told them about this 4-track modification. And they said to me, "Oh, who are you?" And I told them, I'm a musician. But not just that. I actually did something that you guys followed, and it proved to be a big success. Uh, so I managed to have for them that they give me for free, the 8-track and the mixer that actually then mm, that I use for the other album. The first two albums, Portable Madness and Finest Moon Fragments, were done with a modified 4-track. Finest Finger were done with the 8-track. Then we did one Boxes Paradise in the studio because people were saying, "Hey, but you guys can't just do the thing with the 4-track. It doesn't sound right. It's not professional. This bullshit. Something like this." So all of a sudden, we go on and we do, and we go on in the studio. They booked us in the studio. Yeah, and we recorded in the whole studio, the whole thing. But I have to tell you the truth. 50 years later or 40 years later, the whole thing sounds the same. I mean, it doesn't, the whole thing sounds the same, bad, because when I listen to it now, but it's not like you mentioned, it's not like a lot of people ask me, well, what you like of this, what you don't like. Basically, for me, I would like to redo the whole thing, or just change, but everyone says, no, things, it's going to be the way they were, or something like that. I like it. I just say, hey, I always say that, hey, guys, it was good, but not that good. The best is yet to come, because I feel that what I do, unfortunately, I feel that what I do now, the quality and everything else is way beyond. So when I listen to that, it was like, yeah, well, it's like watching you as a kid, man. When you were a kid, so you were good, but how good could you be, in these terms? This is not a physical thing about playing music. It's not like you're a soccer player that when you are too old, you can't just run anymore. Music is just something else. It's a different craft. It's also a craft of your soul. So in order to get to the point that you want to be as a human being, you need a little time, and things have to happen to you, because otherwise, what is it that you're playing? We don't know.
Yeah,
anyway,
sure.
So go on with the next.
No, I was wondering, Franco, about your collaborations, and here is the one. You work with Ariel Pink, Puro Instinct.
Puro Instinct.
Yeah, how did it happen?
How did that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was part. I have to go beyond on that. And from what I read, even in Ariel Pink knew me and liked my music even before I met him. Okay, but the whole thing started because of this band, Regal Digger. Regal Digger was a band in New York that was playing just Sensation Fix. Okay, so and they were friends with this guy, the guy who put up Music Is a Painting in the Air, the Revenge label. So they told him, why don't you try to get in contact with Franco? And they knew where my son used to live, Jayon in Virginia. So through him, they got in touch with me. Not only that, but through him, he had all the records too that we used for to do the record. Then so I became really friends with Regal Diggle. I mean, really good friends. And then all of a sudden they were moving to LA, and I went with them when they moved into LA, and they moved in a place that was like 200 meters, real close to Ariel Pink. You understand? And when we are in Ariel, so we met Ariel Pink this way. The guy came to their house and said, "Oh, are you? You're my new neighbor. I'm Ariel Pink," something like this. And then we made a friend. And he said to me, "Oh, Franco, I like your music, blah, blah, blah. Now you're here." So, but Ariel, talking about, and same thing with Puro Instinct. Puro Instinct were a friend with Ariel, and they were living close. So, they arrived too, and we got to be friends. Mm-hmm. Now, two things that I got to say. Puro Instinct is two girls, they are really doing the band They had like one of the girls like 16 years old, really great guitar player. I mean, it's amazing, and they're really writing good song too. So we really got friends. I played a couple of times with them, and also in one of our track, it was really easy to be friend with those girls. They were wonderful, and and Ariel instead. Later on, I saw him. He really, he was always. I've been always living at his house, with no problem, like a brother, really. And he's also been helping me a lot. The last time I was doing concert in Los Angeles and San Diego with him, it was easy to get the people in. It was easy to get more attention. I mean, it was much better. So he helped me. And while we were doing this, we did also a lot of recording. A lot of recording that I still have, and that I was about to put on my label because you gotta trust me, great recording and great sounding too. So I figured that why don't I put on my Bandcamp label that I have now? It would fit. While I was doing this, the Capitol Hill attack happens. The riot attack. Yeah, the Trump supporter invaded. Okay, and all of a sudden, Ariel is there. He's at the siege, but he didn't go. But he didn't go in. He didn't break in. Otherwise, it wouldn't be. Everyone that were in got recognized and got caught.
Yeah.
He was just. He's just a Trump supporter. But trust me, I never knew that. We never talked about that. We didn't even talk about politics for that. So it was just a shock to me. All of a sudden, oh man, his company is teaching him. A lot of his friends. Oh, you're behind, you like Trump, so you are a terrible person. And people can like anybody, man. It's just, So I talked to him. So I said, look, Ari, they're not putting out your records. Well, our records, the thing that we do together is going to come out. I'm going to lose my reputation, perhaps, but I don't care. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Because, when I talk to people, even with my son, I would say, hey, you got to watch out because, in America, they really are like this, Now Ariel is like the devil. No, Ariel is a great musician, man. Listen to his music. And also, I know when I have good tapes on my hands, I know if something is good. I mean, it's relevant. So the people, when they listen to it, it will they'll get into it. So I told them, for me, he remains a friend. I mean, just because he likes Trump, I cannot hate him. I don't know what it is. I don't have this in me. Even though I think that it's kind of funny, I don't know how a person can like Trump or even be into politics so much that is just changing the friendship with people. Come on, I mean, this thing is just it's ridiculous. So this is why this is what happened and why I met. Ariel, and puro instinct, you understand?
All right. Now, what about,
do you think I'm doing good? What is your opinion? Do you think I'm doing good? Should I put out this or should I just not do it because people are going to boycott him, so they're going to boycott me too? I what is your insight? I mean,
it depends on what you care for. I mean, like if it's all about music and good music.
What do you say?
It shouldn't be forgotten or left behind because of this incident. It's just an incident. Yeah, I don't think he's well known for this fact. He's well known for his music. So I don't think that you should renounce to your option, to your choice. I don't know. I think with music has to be shown and shared and promoted, and that's what counts. And if you have bad opinions or bad reviews because of that, because of the White House incident, well,
it happens anyway. Yeah. Somehow it happens anyway.
Yeah. It already happened. Now, I would encourage you to go on if you want to put that out, if you want to release that.
Thanks. I needed that. Thanks, brother.
Yeah. Now, you were telling me the other day, informally, before this interview, Franco, that you were sometimes doing parties in some abandoned houses, but you were not occupying them like the Occupy people. What happened in those days? You were making parties?
No, but it's not like, it's not, what happened those days? Those days were lasted for 10 years, from the year 2000, from Yeah, to 10, you know. Um, it wasn't just an abandoned place. It was abandoned place, but during the winter, you know. But in the summer, it was actually putting illegal parties in the woods, places in the remote places where the police couldn't find us. Okay, um, and I had a lot of. Well, it was the only place. It was the only way to play, Christian. There was no way for me that I don't know what I was into it, and the way I was into it, nobody would accept me to play. I could not. That was the only way to survive. But it's not like, for example, when we would go into an abandoned house, they would be abandoned. It wouldn't be like there are people in and we throw them out. You understand? They mostly would be abandoned, broken. You didn't even have to break in because it was already open. So there was nothing that you would do except go in. Not only that, but in fact, we would go in, clean up the place, okay, so that people would not get hurt. You know, we would do all these things that and people we didn't pretend that people paying, but people would just leave us some money. You know, like we were like baskets. You know, okay. So it was there, and it was in the wood. Plus, by doing this, if for some reason I got into a situation where there were sometimes there was like street parade, you know, protest done with music, you know. So, and since I was the older, the older guys, I would be the one to go to the police station to ask for the permission to do something, for example. Not only that, but the police, because you know I had problem with this. I went to a couple of trials, you know. Then I'll tell you about that. The police were into thinking that since I was always the older, you know, I don't know why, but I was the older. So they thought that I was the boss, the boss, you know, something like this. And I was trying to explain, look, I'm learning from the kids. You know, I didn't know all these things. They are teaching me how to do it. So this is not the one. Then you know, eventually they knew that. So I had like a couple of trial because of that. One time in France, let me tell you this. This is amazing. One time in France, it was an open festival, and we played through the morning, you know, something like this. So this guy, the police came, you know, and they say to me, "Oh, you know, you guys are playing really good. You know, the mayor of the city wants to talk to you and congratulate with you." And I go, "Well, it's okay, man. We prefer to go. Me, you're not gonna. You can't do this. You know, the mayor is gonna be really upset. You gotta follow us." Okay, let's follow them. So we follow them, and we went right at the hotel. They call them the hotel de police. Okay, the prison. Oh. They call them hotel, but it's just a prison. So they confiscated the whole thing. And because of the law that was there, anti-rape law, if I would have lost the trial, which later on, instead I won, they would have, all my equipment would have been gone. It was like a lot of money, understand what I'm saying? So it would have been terrible. So anyway, before I went back, because they said, now you go back to Italy, then you come back. You don't even have to come back for the trial unless you win, and you have to come back and pick up the instruments that they are in our hands now. So I went to the mayor of the city, and the mayor said to me, "Well, you coming for me?" And I says, "Well, somebody made your name, you know." And I told them what happened. The police told me about this, and the guy was saying, "Oh, the police has gotten a kind of, you know, they're getting smart these days. They'll use anything just to bust people." And said to me that I shouldn't worry because what I did wasn't really legal, and it was probably because of there was a lot of raving in Italy, and a lot of French people were actually coming to Italy because in Italy, apparently, the police weren't stopped. You know, all these raves were happening, which is true though. It was like this. You know, you'd be surprised how many we done things. You know, that went on for days. You know, I mean, 3-4 days before, with many people before that, you know, something happened. Somebody would say, "Hey guys, when you gonna stop?" Yeah. We will show you. No one knows. What is it that you're doing? You know. So, but somehow the luck was that I had to bump of luck, let's say. The first one was that somehow the police was appreciating the work that we were doing. I mean, our crew, not all the tribe were the same, that we were cleaning up, we would just go into abandoned place. We would, and also another things, we would not sell drugs. We were just trying to keep the pushers out of this. Because what happened, you get the people trying to push drugs, and those people are kind of dangerous. A bunch of kids, and those people are dangerous. I mean, they're armed, they can really, it's not something that you want to have something to do with it. So we were trying to do the best to keep those guys out. And this was a part, this is what the people appreciated this, and they like my music too, some of the people say, hey, well, this is pretty good music. So anyway,
you got lucky.
But at one point, but what really happened is that really saved my life, let's say, because by doing this, sooner or later, something bad legally would have happened to me, or perhaps, even physically. All of a sudden, I used to get this check from the Society of Author, because I'm signed since the Polydor Records, so I'm an author or an author. And all the time, it was very little, all the time. One time I look at it and there was more zeros into that. I was like, whoa, man, what happened? So I showed to my girlfriend and I say, is that right? I mean, is that the right amount? And that was the right amount, pretty good amount. And it was because this guy, DJ Shadows, had actually used one of the an arpeggio of Strange About Your Hand, and then another drum parts of Barnhouse Effect or something like this into his things. And he had, so in a record that he had sold so many CDs. So his amount, it was huge, but even mine was pretty good. So all of a sudden with the money, I figure, wow, perhaps it's just it's time to stop, because there is no reason. Because everything that we would do, it would be to survive. It wasn't just, because we wanted to do this because we think it's cool or whatever, or we think we are against the police. We wanted to prove something. It wasn't something like this. It was like, what do we do today? Well, let's do this because we knew that with that would come up some money, would come up some that was a way of doing, surviving. And it wasn't really surviving as a rich, because just think I was nomad living in a camper, or sometimes in places that were abandoned, but they were like in a better shape. So it's not like it was not like a 5-star life. You understand what I'm saying? It was, but it was the only thing that was the life, was keeping us alive. So that is why tonight. That is why I'm getting old, not that old, but so anyway, so that was the only way to survive. And when that happened, I can really actually say a DJ saved my life. You remember that song that was on song?
Of course, yes.
A DJ saved my life. For me, I thought it was dedicated to me. You understand?
Well, you deserve that.
Really
you deserve. Yeah. What can I say?
But that's another thing about music. Every time that it was something would happen into music that somehow would put things back into the right directions, and that to me was sort of like a magic thing. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. A good star. You had a good star over here.
Yeah. I always say there is an angel out there that is looking after me.
Sure.
So, you have to steal the best. You have to do the best that you can. You can't just hope that the angel all the time is going to carry the work that you have to do. It's okay to have it, but you can't abuse of that too.
No.
Somehow,
No.
So it's important.
Well, here's my next question. We have a few more. Franco, did you? I am going to cancel the word inspiration because I noticed it's the wrong word for you. So I was
No,
going
no,
to.
no, it's not the wrong word because
Just
we
kidding.
did
Just
explain.
just
We
joking.
did, so, because I saw your joke, but we did explain, a lot of things. At least these are the way I
Okay.
feel.
Yeah.
Don't be,
No,
I think
no. Of
inspiration
course,
is very important.
I understand the difference between inspiration and motivation, and
Yeah,
especially
you thought about
experience.
the crowd rock.
Yeah, I don't know if you were listening to crowd rock at any
Yeah,
time in
but
your life
but I did explain that about the crowd lock.
before.
Basically, it was yeah, because we were in the same wavelength. So with those guys, those guys very important to me, and also in a certain aspect, there was a certain admiration. For example, for Tangerine Dream, you
Uh-huh.
know,
Uh-huh.
even though yeah, I like them, but they were static to me, because I like things that change too. It's like let's say I would use them for 3 minutes, and then I would have to change, and that in that aspect, that would be great. But if you have to do this for 30 minutes, for 15 minutes, and be just that, for me, it's too much. You understand what I'm saying? But
Oh,
I understand. Yeah, but I understand that is important too. It doesn't have to be a critic. You know, the only thing with Tangerine Dream is that there are that turned me a little bit off. It was basically those guys needed to be millionaire to play. I was I have a punk attitude. I always done things with little money or something like this. Okay, you guys, instead I met them. When I met them in Los Angeles, and
when
Chris
was
Frank, I thought
when was that?
in Los Angeles,
When?
in Los Angeles. Yeah. It
Cuando?
was when I did the record. I was there doing the record Visions Fugitives. So I don't remember. It was still the 70s, but later on. Have you heard about the album Visions Fugitives
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Sensation Free?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that was done with a company that it was in California all years. So when I went to finish the album, I mean, and we did the cover. The Tangerine Dream were playing at the Los Angeles Coliseum, and I was able to get in with the guy from all years, and I was able also to talk with Chris Frank because I was backstage, and jokingly I was I was telling him, you guys are rich, man, because for this equipment it, cost a lot,
And what did he
and
say?
so
He laughed.
nothing. He didn't say anything. Just looked at me.
Uh,
Those guys were, so talkative. Understand?
they were not talkative.
No, 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 no. They were really very serious. Another guy that
Uh,
was like that I met, but him in Florence was the guy that played keyboards, Ratledge, on Soft Machine. The
Mike.
guy in Soft Machines. So yeah,
Mike.
Mike Ratledge.
Yeah.
Those guys were great guy, great band, man.
Yeah.
Huge musicians. And yeah, my man. And we played together a couple of times,
Okay,
And
yeah.
every time that I was just trying to be cute or trying to start a conversation, I would just get those looks like, hey, what is this Italian? I don't know. So it was like this. But there is always there is a nasty thing, that that I heard. Those guys from Tangerine Dream were lending sometimes computers to Ashra temples. They were poor. They were like their friends, but they were kind of poor. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
So yeah, so they would lend it. They would give it to them, and then every once in a while they would go to their house to see what they were doing. And Ashra temples, they would be there smoking joints, getting high on drugs and playing right on their synthesizer. And and they didn't like it, so they took them away. At one point, they just took because that's the way they were, like this. Also, they were doing the Nigerian because they didn't want to do the British things. They wanted to find something that was German. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well,
Very structured.
very,
Very structured.
but it's great music. But aside joking, these are joke, and I laugh too. But they're great musicians, and even the music they did was a big level.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. They
you gotta
became.
be rich.
They
But you
became
gotta be
classics.
rich.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, Frank, about Sensations Fix discography. If there's anything you really like or really not like so much an album that you say, oh,
No, no, I
it could
told
have
you
been better?
about I like everything, but
Okay.
to me, when they want to repress, for me, it's like, yeah, well, let's just put something more. Let's just EQ better, but the EQ, it goes, okay, EQ, there's something there, it goes. But if you say, let's just put new parts, let's just eliminate one, let's just change something in the song, and maybe put a phrase that actually changes everything, that for me is wow, it's great, No, they never liked it.
But you
So,
did, you did, you did, you did that, Franco. I was asking you the other day informally, behind the camera, about these two versions of with the flying tapes versus the Fragments of Light album.
see, that is another thing. That's another thing. That is like every song, if you check all the catalog in Sensation Fix, you will see that many songs have a different name, but are the same song, but done in a different way. That was one thing that we did, because I don't know, we went into this thing that if perhaps this was good, but we didn't do it right. And if you do it another time in a different way, people might understand. So we were into that. We were into changing, that was something. So the reason when we could, we done it. That's why when we did the flying tapes with some of the track in flying tapes, we did improve them. We improved them in the studio in Virginia that I had with this guy. We had a studio in Virginia where we did this album, Sheriff, too. And so those, but the changes in those were very mild, even though for some in certain aspect would kind of important, because in two tracks, I think music is in the painting, there is drums. That is not there.
It's totally different. It's another. I mean, for me, it's a fantastic version, but it takes away the.
But there is more version of that. You'll be surprised. That's another thing I want to say. So you probably, music is a painting. There are going to be other versions, fragments. I have versions that are totally different now. They will come out, and some of the stuff that you will listen to it that I will send you are actually wild version of old stuff. Why that too? Because in the tapes that I found, each track up to 4 and up to 8, when I had the old tape, the instruments are by itself, so you could actually change that. You can actually take away a part.
Yeah.
Not only that, there are some parts, for example, that you've done, but you didn't put because you made few mistakes, and you didn't have the ability to edit then. So you've done a lead, and there was a mistake, even if it was good, you ditch it, and then you eventually do the one that is right. But with the technology now, you can take away the mistake and put the lead that, or put that just places from different tracks, leads from different tracks that can actually fit. You understand? All you gotta do is to try it, and if it works, it's gonna work. So that is why. So, but I have to say, right now, perhaps, and it was the one that I used to like it less. It was the first one that they did. Not just because it's better or worse. It's just because it's more experimental.
Yeah.
The other was more like a band. At one point, it sounded more like a hard rock band, a rock band. Other times it was pop, but that was experimental. There was abstract music. There was drone music even back then in some stuff they were doing. So if you ask me right now that you make me think about it, I would say fragments. And of course, flying tapes, I liked it because even back then, that was a nice update of all the work. I always felt that way. And when I listen to it, obviously, I still feel that way. But, some album, for example, Portable Madness is a great album, but it's recorded terribly, I think. But that's what, that's what Aria told me. Yeah, but Aria was saying to me, Franco, I was putting Portable Madness, but then I use it as a backup, running through a wah-wah, and that sounded great. I mean, because because all of a sudden it was just some new. It wasn't just, if you look at it, oh, this is how a rock band's got to sound. Well, this sounds terrible. But if you look at it as just sound, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And somehow you look at it that way, and you bypass that, and so you get into just what was playing. And perhaps you get into it. We got into it at the moment that when we done it, of course, because everything that we were doing, so it sounded good, but not necessarily was that way. The ears are telling you that.
Yeah. Well, if you allow me to mention my personal perception, I'm going to just this question you already answered, but I was going to say that the track that I picked for Futuro FM for Futuro back in the mid 90s was music is painting in the air, which is fantastic. But I really like this version of from the Flying Tapes because it could have been a dance floor record in that version with the drums. If you would have released it as a single or as a 12-inch single, I'm sure that people would have danced to that in some discos. But the original one is the one that is more like dreamlike environment. It's floating. The music floats. It makes it float. It's different from the
It was capturing the moment.
Yeah.
The fragments. It was pretty psychedelic album,
Totally. Yeah.
To say. Yeah, because I was also into that too. Then now I'm a good guy, but
not that.
It was all experiment, Christian. It was all because I was curious. You understand what I mean? It's not that I wanted to be, the idea that I can ruin myself for that.
No, you understand. You
understand what I'm saying?
You don't have to give any explanation. Yeah, it's too late for that.
No, but it's important for me to explain because I don't want people to understand. It's important to know because they understand that things are not that easy. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, you do an experiment, watch out. Then if you're doing because you want to self-destruct yourself, and then at this point I can say, to me, it just is you're stupid, something like this. But what can you do? People basically there are people like this, but I'm not like this. I think that it's like when they say musicians have to be poor to be good, because when they're poor they express the best of themselves. Why? It could be like this, but basically musicians are poor because it's not a good profession, man. And most of the time before they make it, they have to go through a lot of weird, this moment. But let's not make it a rule. I mean, if I can, if instead of being poor, I'm doing well and I'm a good musician, hey, that's great, man. Better, I think.
Yeah.
So, all these things that we say, musicians say, you have to be like this now. Like I said, man, Gilmore is a great guy because he explained to that you could be in a certain way without losing your life. So why would you want to destroy yourself? Yeah, you can just reach it in a different way, this way, and show them how, musically too. So, and that was it. In fact, with him on playing the guitar, the band skyrocketed.
Yeah.
With that album that that your friends, Graham Parsons too.
And don't forget. And all of them are still playing, and that's fantastic because they have new audiences.
That was technology. So you mentioned technology in some of the question. That was technology. Everything was technology. Even the 4-track modified was technology in a way. I mean, everything was technology. Yeah. But there is one thing that really instead upset me this day, because if you think of this, that me and you can meet this way, it's great,
amazing, yeah,
it's fantastic. But if somebody tell you that this is the only way you're gonna meet the person, because you're not gonna be able to socialize anymore, because you're not gonna be able to hug and kiss the people, then this is terrifying. You understand what I'm saying? This is not great. It's great if we're free, if everything it is the way it was, and plus we have this. If you're telling me now, because this is what they're saying to us, I don't know there, but in Italy, hey, we gotta learn. School is gonna be in distance. No, kids need to go to school and stay with each other and fight with each other, and and do things, because this is a way to learn things. You can't just do everything on remote. So this is terrifying. This is why we gotta really watch on technology, because also the computer getting into everything, into genetica, all this stuff like this and really modifying everything. Actually, the computer were like the invention of the wheel. But the computer was our invention. It wasn't a discovery. It's not like we are discovering something that is there.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah, man has made amazing discoveries and inventions that were far out of technology. So his mind and his heart, your mind and your heart can take you to do amazing things like music, of course. Yeah.
No, but you understand what I'm saying. So I love technology, but these days, I had an emotional breakdown when that happens to me, that I couldn't see my son anymore because he lives in America. But you can see him with WhatsApp. No, man, I want to be able to go there if I want to go there.
You will be able. Just wait. Yeah.
And also, I want to be able to come there and hug and kiss you too, bro. Something like this.
One day.
Yeah, because I like you, man. That's it. You understand? You understand what I'm saying?
Thanks for that.
Okay.
Let's jump now onto. I was asking you, Franco, about our compilation that I found that I was really surprised with. That is called "Music is Painting in the Air," 1974-1977, and there's a track. The name of the track is "Aku Dreaming," and it's fantastic. And
but I didn't understand what you meant, because I thought that the sound of the guitar sounded too weird. I didn't understand the meaning for some reason.
The quality of these tracks is different from an official record. I'm not sure if it's the final mix, if those are drafts.
No, because I filter. It was filtered through. It was filtered through to this computer filter. Okay. So it was because people might not like it. It was to create the watery. Is what they call the watery effect.
Okay. How
you like it? The track is good, I think, right?
The track sounds good. The track is fantastic. I really, that's one of the best tracks on the album, in my opinion. But I was wondering why does it sound like this, like a little blurry? Now I understand. Yeah.
Come
si dice in italiano? How do you say
blurry?
Acquoso.
Acquoso, sì, va bene. Infatti, Aku Dreaming is for that. But don't forget also that those tapes, when they got baked, we made them sound good, but they needed some help here and there because, it was good. It was, we recouped that with this procedure that is called baking. You put the tape, because they're all connected. Sure. So, you put them into this thing, there's a humidifier. So all of a sudden, the mold comes out. You need to take away the mold with a mask because otherwise you go crazy.
Yeah.
So we did a hell of a lot of work. And mostly it was important that you didn't have wow and flutter, that they go, when the tape. That was important. But, to get the quality that we got, I thought from those tapes, in fact, even the fact that we were able to play them, now they're in the same. Yeah, it was a miracle. Yeah. It was also pretty good that they were still there. My wife that had given it to my son because, one point I left my wife, we divorced, we didn't see each other for so long. She could have also say, hey, fuck with this tape and throw it away,
Sure.
She had the right, because she was probably upset that I have left because it was my fault.
It sometimes happens, it sometimes happens.
But that's one thing that I gotta say. This is why she's still in my heart, and we're still friends, by the way. Because she's always thinking, she said to me, Franco, but I always thought that you were a good musician. You think that I would throw away those tapes, even though we left each other, something like this. So, wow. That was fun.
That's a great thing. It's
the angel. Hey, Christian, it's the angel out there that is watching, that every once in a while is helping us.
You're a good star.
Yeah, a good star. Every once in a while that is helping us.
I was surprised, Franco, that you worked, not even recorded for Polydor, not only recorded for Polydor, but you also worked for Polydor. There comes my next question. I like Polydor. I like the logo. I love the logo because as a child, I would look at the record spinning with the Polydor logo at home.
Oh, I love the Polydor too.
Yeah.
But I see that. But I actually wasn't really working with Polydor. I worked for Polydor, but I was actually an artist, like others, like Balletto delle Fate. Locanda delle Fate, Balletto di Bronzo.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Locanda delle Fate, I didn't know him. I know them, but I didn't personally know. Balletto di Bronzo I did meet because because we needed a PA system for a tour that we did. And so the sound engineer, Spartaco, came was doing the sound system for us. That tour was us, and before us there was this movie, Tubular Bells with Mike Oldfield. That's why Mike Oldfield, you know, Mike Oldfield and all those guys I had met when I was like 21, 22, 23. One time I went in London and I got friends with the people in Virgin. There was like a small company, but they had already the castle, you understand? I remember they brought me to see this band called Can.
Sure.
And also they would say, yeah, Can, great band, man. Amazing, crazy guy. Anyway, so I knew about Alfred. Then I liked his work. And for certain aspect, certain things could be similar. Perhaps more to the Cold Nose because, you know, even though the music is actually different, but the idea. So we did that tour. So this guy, Spartaco, is the actual guy that I knew. And then in that case, I met some of the people from Balletto di Bronzo. And now I'm kind of friend with them, but they don't post very much on Facebook. Instead, I was pretty good friends with the people from the area.
Sure.
You remember?
Yes.
Okay. Now, because the guitar player, Paolo Tofani, grew up, it was from Florence. So we sort of grew up together when we were little kids, let's say. He's a little older than me. And with him, I met Demetrio, his vocal singer, the guy from the singer. And, you know, with them, they used to come to our house, you know, we also played things together. I remember with Demetrio, he always used to say, man, it's only when I come to your guys' house that I can sit and relax and play, you know. Every time, you know, with the other, you know, every time we go, because they were staying in Milan, you know, every time in Milan, it's so crazy, you know. We go here, we were living in the country, beautiful place. We could stay days, you know, playing and getting lost. It was much easier where we used to live, you know. Plus, you know, back then, it's not that we had telephones or stuff like this even there. Where we used to live, the telephone wasn't there, and the communication wasn't so much. So when you were alone, you were alone. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. That's nothing. So those were the actually from the guy. You know, also I was, you know, I could say that I was pretty much friends. We played with them many times. Banco, the guy, the Francesco, the guy, the big guy, man, the guy that was singing. Yeah, the guy that was singing. The guy that was singing was, he used to say to me, the guy who was singing, one time he came up to me and said, hey, man, I listened to your album, you know. I got stoned, I smoked, I listened to your album, then I smoked again, and I listened to side B. It was like Francesco, he died.
Yeah,
he died in the car accident.
Yeah.
Shit, he was really funny. He was really funny and really very good humor. Very good humor. You could tell the things that he was saying, the way that he was acting when we were together. He was like, you know, certain level, you know.
Yeah. Well,
we said, yeah. Tell me.
No, I was going to mention that not long ago, like a couple of months ago, I had the chance to interview Vittorio, the keyboardist.
Vittorio Nocenzi.
He's very
Vittorio
nice.
Nocenzi.
Yeah.
No, the guy too. He's kept, you know, for me, I just got to be, let's say, close and starting conversation. You know how it is. You know, everyone has some personality. Some people get to loosen up better and other less, you know. Yeah. Now, Vittorio Nocenzi, I think it was Vittorio or his brother. I think perhaps his brother. Vittorio was the one who was playing the piano.
Yes.
The younger one. Yes. Right? Am I right?
Yes.
His brother had something problem with his heart or something like this, but I think he survived. But he had a problem that he really was risking to die, you know, at one point.
Yeah.
Then he managed. Yeah. I don't know, but bro, we're getting old, you know. Every day, there is no one day that you don't read that somebody has gone. You know, I remember Chicoria, now it's gone.
Yeah.
You know?
Many of
20
them,
days ago.
many of them. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on, Franco, to the one of the final questions here. You have played sets in the United States recently, I guess, like playing your older numbers, but you've also done DJ sets in a totally different direction. So, do you like dance music? Do you like techno or?
Oh, yeah, it started with interactive test,
Yeah,
DJ set, but it also started when a DJ set, but actually they are done with CDJ.
yeah,
Now, now what you call DJ set is mostly a mixing by using CDJ, which means that you're mixing CD, or now even not that, you're mixing the USB sticks, something that is in your USB sticks. And the guy, but what's important that those Pioneer that they are being used, they are really acting like turntables. They are really close to turntables. Okay,
they are.
that is something that I learned when I was with the Black community. They were into that too. And then after I did interactive tests because of that experience, and I say, why don't you do what these guys were doing in New York? Why don't I do it in Italy? You know, that's why I chose vinyl, even though CDs was already bigger back then. Then, you know, Pioneer gave me their console, you know, to use. See, I was always like, you know, first Tascam, then it was like the Pioneer gave me this. So I've learned to mix, you know, mix the way the DJ are doing. It means that the music go on and never stops, you know, if you want. In the dance floor, people don't stop. In the concert, you know, they play one song, you clap, then you start, the guy can talk to me. In the dance floor, the people got to keep dancing more and more. You got to build up
Mm-hmm,
this dance.
mm-hmm,
So what you got to do, somehow, one of the technique to mix that way, to be a DJ that way, you need to be real good at beat matching. Every time that you play something, the other tracks got to be the same speed, and because otherwise the mix it just creates it's cacophony, and it's pretty bad, especially if you're playing in a big PA system. So I've learned that, and that was part of what we were doing in interactive test. Basically, it was a DJ label, because at that point, in that particular moment, the DJ were not the only one to buy they were buying the records. That's why things are popular, because somebody is also buying the stuff that is somebody else is doing. You know, there is a market. For example, all those records from Genesis, Pink, perhaps even Pink Floyd, but then I don't know. But for sure, King Crimson and all this stuff that was kind of big. You know, this prog that was, you know, they were not selling anymore. You know, and people wanted different music. Understand? People they were not selling anymore. Perhaps also because who was buying their records weren't buying records anymore, and new generation was buying records. You know, you gotta take that in account. You know, like now, things that I do to sell, it's gotta be for some reason. You know, I can't just trying to sell to the people that like Sensation Fix and bought Sensation Fix in the 70s. They're probably not there, you know, anymore. And not only that, but somehow, even if they are alive, they're not gonna buy records. So you gotta. There is always a record following that is there, and you got to take that in account, you know. And so that was the moment to do this. In fact, we were having success, but it was very hard, you know. So anyway, there I learned all these things, because, you know, what I would do is I would the song that we used to record the system. It was two computers, you know, samplers, and at first for my live, I was going out with those, with the whole computers and stuff, you know, and playing. We were three people playing, you know, but no guitars, because at that moment, the guitar was forbidden. You couldn't play guitar. No, the guitar was forbidden from the normal listener. Then later on, he came back, but, you know, the guitar. So it was like synth and drum machine, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Then I realized, and I say, well, I can make these that are becoming vinyl, I can actually record them on CDs. I had a CD recorder, you know. And so I was recording them, and then I was mixing them for my life. I was mixing my own song that I have done, you understand? So I was, and I was pretty good at this, because once you know the beat matching, and you know how you can easily achieve it, with tricks that you can do, so that it makes it easy for you. I also had these other things, that it's not just beat matching. It's like you mix songs, the intonation's got to be there. You mix the songs, but if they're out of tune, it's not going to sound right, and only the DJ that have good ears could understand that. It's easy to have two things that they are going right at the same time. That is pretty easy. It's like it's easier to play rhythm, but if you gotta play rhythm and then what you're playing is gotta be intonated with the others, then you gotta be able to tune. Then your ears gotta be able to understand what I'm saying.
In case you didn't know, we are colleagues because I used to be a DJ on a radio station and discotheque. So I really like mixing records. And the problem is that sometimes you get the drum players.
But if you're not mixing dance music, yes, you can actually mix. You're mixing dance music too?
I used to back in the 80s. I can still do it.
Okay, so I know what I'm talking about.
We can make a competition when you come to Chile or go.
No, that's great. They used to have competition like that. The black community. Who was the best scratches, the best thing, It was just like a competition. Amazing.
Yeah.
So you understand what I'm talking about, of course.
Yes, yeah. So,
but the CDJs are that they're doing now. They cost so much, man. It's ridiculous the amount of money they do. But they're like perfect now, and everyone is using that.
No, it's a software that's working. It's a software doing the work.
Also, the software, Tractor, and all these other software they are perfect. It makes it. So sometimes with Tractor, you can just tell them to get the beat met. It does it by itself.
Yeah, it mixes anything. Yeah.
Yeah, it mixes anything, but you gotta start at the right place, the cue. Yeah. Because if two things are a bit matched, but they're not, the same bars.
Yeah. Sure. Now, Franco,
tell me.
No, what about moving on to I let me just make a pause here, official pause for the recording. Okay, recording again, part 2. It says here my question about movies, directors, and music and all that. Can you tell me some of your favorite movies and directors? And would you like to make a soundtrack for any particular directors or movies?
I would have liked to make a soundtrack for many records. The first one, obviously, the first one is Blade Runner, but Vangelis did a great job on that. But of course, would you like to make a record of Blade Runner? But let's say, the people I love, Jodorowsky, Fellini, Terry Gilliam. Do you know him?
Sure.
The guy did Brazil.
Yeah.
Okay. Those. Also, I was impressed. I don't know if you know this movie called Gattaca.
Sure.
Do you know Gattaca? Genetic, this thing that the guy, those were blow. But then, of course, let's say Tron, Space Odyssey on the beginning, Shining. And Brainstorm. Have you seen Brainstorm?
Yeah, about dreams.
Yes. Yeah. But when you look at now, I was looking at lately. It's just like the GoPro. It's like an action cam. All they had was an action cam to do this, man. It was amazing. Yeah. But they really, I love them, and it brought me to tears when I was seeing something like this.
That was written by James Horner. He was one of the first James Horner soundtracks.
Yeah. It was when he was really young. Yeah. So all films like this, and also I like also movie like The Eraser, Duel.
Which one is The Eraser? Eraserhead? No.
Yeah, Eraserhead. Yeah.
By
Eraserhead. The one really weird with the girl that was there.
David Lynch. The black and white movie.
Yeah, the David Lynch.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Yeah, it's really weird.
I know. But it's a nightmare. But for some reason, it's unique. Okay, that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Don't remember about the thing. One of the first one, Duel was called. That thing that the big tall truck that has a big truck that is trying to kill somebody else.
Duel. Yeah.
Duel. Yeah. Yeah. Because it was weird. And also, I like the cartoon movie, like Fritz the Cat and Fantasia, Fantasia.
Fantasia, yeah.
But even some stuff like this,
Stravinsky,
uh,
Mussorgsky.
yeah, I know. But
Yeah,
Fritz the Cat, also the funny one. Fritz the Cat, there was a movie like this. Yellow Submarine, for example, I loved it. For example,
good one.
Yellow
Yeah,
Submarine, I thought it was great.
yeah.
And it was funny too.
The symphonic music
So,
is fantastic, huh? The symphonic music in
yeah.
Yellow Submarine is very good.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah, the soundtrack of that,
fantastic,
the album, the album is huge,
amazing.
I think. The soundtrack, there is also work, I think, of George Martin or something like this. It's not just the
Exactly,
Beatles.
it's George Martin. Exactly.
Sounds
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah. George Martin was a genius man. The guy knew more. He knew that these things, we have something that we can talk with a youngster. As long as we play a certain amount of music, it's not just play music. All of a sudden we're giving codes to the young people, and we teach them how to solve their love problems.
All kinds of problem. Yeah,
By people telling you how. And not only that, by doing that, you are connected with the youngster, so you are in touch. Because otherwise, you don't have anything. You understand? All of a sudden, they are there, and you're here. I said, so those guys, they knew so much. I mean, and also George Martin. I've heard some of his stuff that he was doing, because he was like a big orchestra, something like this. But some of his work is really adventurous, really ahead. I mean, he wasn't just doing, like he would say, Bernstein, right, composer, but he's very classical. He said his work was classical, but it had like musical things that were there. That when you listen to it, at least when I listened to it, I said, "Wow, man, this guy was like a genius."
yeah.
Yeah.
She was married. He was married to a Chilean woman, Felicia Montealegre.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
I found out recently, but it's amazing. Yeah, fun. I will.
He
I will
was a
watch.
genius man.
Maybe you watched. I used to watch Concert for the Youth, Concierto para la Juventud in Chile on TV, black and white days back in 72, 73.
He was there.
Yeah, he used to direct at the Carnegie Hall in New York, and they would tape these presentations, and there was a TV show, Concert for the Youth. Didn't you have it in Italy? No?
No, I didn't.
Parasite.
Perhaps yes, but I don't know how we call it. But I'll check into that. Also, to get on with this movie, I like graphic artists too, like Möbius Bilal or the French illustrator of the Heavy Metal magazine. Those guys for me are very important, man. And writers like Vonnegut and Phil Dick. At one point, I was reading a lot of books too, and it was pretty good. And to end up with this Banksy, Banksy?
No.
Banksy is a street artist. Come on, the one that is painting or on the wall and stuff is really worth a lot of money. You should check. You should check into Banksy.
I'm going to do that.
He used an early track of mine for a flash mob, let's say, at Disney World. He went at Disney World and did his flash mob, putting stuff and Muppets, and stuff there just to make it weird.
Did you get more zeros? Did you get more zeros in the check?
No, I didn't, because that was something that didn't go to the
copyright. Bad thing.
He didn't pay the royalties. I should tell him.
You should.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if you check Banksy, when you check Banksy, you understand what I'm saying. You're gonna love the guy.
I will. Now, there's a question, Franco, that I don't think maybe I wasn't very clear. I just rewrote the question. What about these platforms for Spotify, Tidal? Do you think that's positive for the artists? Because I think some of them complain that they are not being paid enough for this. Spotify.
Okay, we gotta understand two things. All this company like Spotify, they are not really selling music. They are paying you because people are listening to you. So you should compare them to radio station. You should compare like a radio station. I don't know how it's in Chile, but in Italy, when you play in a radio station, you used to play a record, you would pay a certain amount of things, Yeah. Okay, so that's it. Instead, I have to say the platform that I'm using, for example, Bandcamp, is really fair for musicians. The money goes straight to you. So other platform that I use to put stuff on iTunes, most of the money comes to me. So in that case, I don't think so. The Spotify, I said, people are getting it wrong. These are like radio things, so they cannot expect to collect the money as if you would sell a record. You know, on Bandcamp, I actually making a digital sale of an album, let's say, that people are paying $10, and Bandcamp is only getting $1 out of it. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm getting 9. So I'm getting pretty much, you know. On iTunes, if I'm going direct using somebody that is putting it on for me, but it's going direct, and I'm paying, let's say I'm paying a service, and I'm selling something that it costs 10 euros, I'm getting a 7, 8. So it's pretty big. On Spotify, if somebody listen to one of my songs, I'm getting 2 cents. So it's not much. But I don't think, yeah, it's not much, but they can make it more, but it can't just be what, you know, because those are like radio. They're like for people to listen. They're not selling you digital things, and they're not selling you things. So there is only so much that you can do on that. So, you know, but, you know, so, you know, I'm not so critic. You know, this is the way it's going to be, guys, you know, because the records, you know, people are still pressing the records, even Polydor now, the big company, they are doing it. But mainly, you're doing it as an archive, you know, because if things go wrong, you need to have something that is physical. You need to have something to file files that is there physical. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. If something goes wrong, you're not going to have anything, guys. You understand? Yeah. So that is physical. Not only that, because look at the CDs, for example. If the CDs gets broken, you don't listen to the whole CDs. The records could be scratched, but you lose only you lose only little parts. It's very hard that you're going to lose the whole record. You understand what I'm saying? So they are, because it's engraving. The record is engraving something into something. It's like engraving in a stone. No, if you could make it so that a stone plays, it's actually like it.
It's fantastic. Yeah, it's fantastic. And so
it's an idea. It's a different idea. So this thing with the digital is okay, but digital doesn't really exist. Digital, because have you noticed movies? They used to have a certain procedure. You know, pictures you were doing it a different way. Music, they had its own. Now with digital, this is all the same. Digital is doing everything. He's doing pictures, he's doing movies, he's doing music, you know. Why? Because it's nothing. Because the whole thing is actually nothing, you know. It is something, but it's actually nothing. So at one point, when we need to have the physical archives. I don't know how you call that. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. The Anunnaki and the Sumerians from the old age, they've left us things because they were encarved in stone. They just didn't, you know, they left it in there, you know, they're in the stones.
Yeah,
you know.
Maybe
Abraham received the things they were writing in stone. It wasn't in the cloud. You understand? Even though, you know, God in the cloud is well known. You understand what I'm saying?
So the physical, the physical format, Franco, is never going to be touched by a solar storm. While the digital thing can, I mean, if we have a solar storm, we have a big problem.
We can lose everything in a second and not have everything. We can lose other things too, but we're gonna, you know, it's still gonna have parts, you know. Throughout the years, things, we don't have everything the way it was when we found, you know, things from the Egyptian. But we have enough to understand. We have enough to do things, you know, and to learn from, you know. So we can't just. So you know what I'm talking about. So you know, I wouldn't be too hard on Spotify. They could do better. Other service like Bandcamp, I think they're really great. They're really for the artists. Because, you know, you might go to a company, they say, hey, we don't like you. Say, okay, I'll put it up by myself. I might not have the promotion behind, but you know, this is what I'm doing with Bandcamp. You'll be surprised. I'm doing very good on that. And now I'm also putting different stuff. It started out with the dance, you know, that I did with the interactive text, but now I'm putting other stuff, you know, even different. I'm trying to diversify the whole thing, And not only that, not only I know who bought it, I have his mail. I can talk to him. In I have a database of information that they're very important. The money, when it gets bought, gets straight to me, so it doesn't go through anything. There's nobody that can say, "Oh, well, okay, you tell me that I've sold 1,000 records, but how do I know?" It shows you some papers. That way, it's obvious because it's like in that case, technology is good. The guy is buying, and the money gets into me. They could make it that they can split the money, so that for that song, the money gets to you. For the other, the money goes to another one. So in that aspect, it's good, Of course, some people can do better, Some people pretend more. So for this, for that, I think it's pretty good for the business.
By the way, yeah. I don't know if you got aware of, but I did send you a message through Bandcamp 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. Maybe you didn't check it yet, but if you go there, you will find my message. But now we are talking. We've been talking for a long time, so forget it. I
will check.
Check it. Check it out. Check. Yeah. Now, my last two questions, Franco. We've been talking a lot. I thank you for your time and generosity. Yeah. How has Franco Falsini spent lockdown for a whole year and avoided going crazy? Is there anything positive out of all this? Yeah.
Doing things. You know what I think about I was like I said before. I wasn't a person that I was going out a lot. So in these last years, I wouldn't socialize more than so. The lockdown, it was hard, but it wasn't just because I couldn't go out. It's just what is the future that is upsetting me. One thing that I've learned, that's something that I wanted to do. Most of the time, I was assembling this e-bike, electric bike. So I got a bike. I've learned how to, because I needed to do this from scratch. I couldn't just buy it. I didn't have the money to, but it's not my style. So I wanted to learn. So I learned the electric motors, all the electricity, how it works. I learned how to put it on. I put it on. I learned about batteries, and now I have a great bike. It works and it takes me because I don't have any other way of moving. I don't have a car. So and I'm pretty far away from. I'm like 10 miles away from the city to do the shopping, and I'm uphill too. So it's not like so I needed a bike. If I would have been 20 years old just with a regular bike, it would have been okay. But now I would get a heart attack, man, if I do this. The
exercise is good. Exercise is good.
But now I have the bike, so I've learned everything. I've learned how the motor works. I've learned how to get the pedal assist. I mean, I become an expert. If just in case that the music doesn't work anymore, I can assemble a bike, and I'll make a living, and I'll, sure, pay the bill, let's say. So, this is to say, I'm trying to use this to get more knowledge that I can, you understand? But it's, like I said, I'm a home person, so staying in the house doesn't really upset me more than anything. But the idea why we are like this and what is it going to be in the future, that is, I don't know if I'm going to be, I will be able to handle. Lately, especially in the last few days, that they are saying to us that everything is going to be more and more locked. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting depressed, Christian. I hope that my brain can take it. I just, so like I said, I'm praying. That's all.
Well, we are feeling like that. Now, Franco, is there something that you would still do? Like musically speaking, is there something pending, an unfinished project that you maybe put under the rug?
A lot of them, like I said, there is like at least a couple of Sensation Fix albums. They gotta come out. Then other things that should come out with with interactive tests, more on the dance oriented side. Then there is the Ariel Pink that I want to put out because I want to double prove that I'm his friend. Sometimes people need to understand that too. Yeah. So there is a lot of problems like this. So if the lockdown goes on, it'll give me the only thing that I would have done that even without a lockdown. That's what it is, But with the lockdown, you're not going to have any other things to do. Basically, this, unless they take away my internet connection, or something like this. Basically, so this is so for me. It's not that good, but I'll bear. And these last years, like I said, to learn new things, and this new thing was the economy, everything. I've learned how the 11 things on solar panel, wind things, things that they're called inverters, that you can just run straight into the electricity, and that goes straight into so you're not paying the bill. Is less, is the thing that you can.
Did you never want Did you never want to be an engineer or study something like that? No.
Oh no, I always, I am like this, That's funny, because I didn't really finish school because I had other things in mind, But most of the time, when I thought of it, it was basically I didn't finish school because I didn't think I was good at learning things. Then when I went in America, I understood the process of learning. That's why America was important, because I was 21 years old, so I had to do things, And by doing it and learning, I realized that I had like this fascination of learning things. Anything that it was learning for me was like, whoa, something great satisfaction. And also I realized that I could have been a good student, not a good teacher. But a good student, yes, somebody that really studies, that does this research. It's like this 2 days that we did this. For 2 days, I did the homework for this. For me, it was like doing the homework, when you say to the student, sure, you've done your homework.
Yeah.
But the homework was to synthesize the answer, the question, synthesize the answer, learn technically how we can do this. And try out, if things work, that's one thing, so I have to thank you for this. You got me into my student mode again, sure. You understand? This is what I love. I would use this lockdown as a student.
Yeah, you have to keep your brain working. Yeah. It keeps you sane. Yeah. It keeps you sane. Yeah. This is the last. Yeah. That's true. Franco, there's a crazy question that is not a question. Is that if you want to ask another question or say something to finish now this fantastic encounter, and if not,
well, I don't know. We talked about a lot. Yes. The only thing I have to say, like I said, I have to thank you because you helped me out. You helped me out to recollect a lot of things, and I needed that,
To put some order.
Get in focus. I got into focus. I was out of focus. This lockdown, I went out of focus. Like the movie Allen, the movie from Allen. You remember that one? This movie with Woody Allen that is always out of focus, so that he can go in and do pictures anymore. There is a movie. I forgot. Going to pieces or something like this. Disassembling. I know it's an old movie now, and the guy is actually. Since he's an actor, you have a cat. I love cats, bro. Yeah,
Peta.
I have one.
Yeah, she's an angel too. She's my angel.
Yeah, I love animals and the cats. I had so many that I only have one. So anyway, there is this movie that actually is out of focus. So since he's an actor, they cannot get him into pictures. They tell, hey, man, you're out of focus. Everything else is in focus, but you are coming out of focus. So, his career is ruined. So yeah, I will send you what thing is on Messenger when I get the name, because you love that. Woody Allen is another guy. It's not a funny guy. It's very smart,
Send me the name, Franco. Thank you so much for this fantastic time.
Thank you, bro.
Grazie mille. Muchas gracias. Estoy muy contento. Sono molto contento per il tempo che you have given me today.
Anch'io, mi sono divertito una cifra. Mi sono divertito tanto. Dai, buonanotte, stai bene.
Sì.
And I hug to and hug your friends and stuff like this for
Yeah.
me too. Okay.
I will send you, Franco, this video when it's already in my
Well, it's done.
computer
Okay, don't
for your
worry,
file.
because we are in touch. I have to send you the tracks. Remember,
Good.
I have to send you the tracks because I want you to know what you think. And if you
Excellent.
don't like it, you gotta tell me, bro. You know,
I'm going
it's
to
like,
tell you. Yeah, I'm going to be honest.
yeah,
Thank you again for
yeah,
the time. It's been a fantastic
okay,
occasion.
yeah.
Go to
Thanks,
sleep.
thanks.
Take a good
Yeah,
rest.
I will. This
Yeah,
time, tonight, I will.
and
Tonight, I
let's keep
will.
in touch. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hugs.
Thanks,
Bye
brother.
bye.
Hugs.
Bye bye.